I'm Julia.
And I'm Michelle.
And we're just getting better. This is a podcast for women just like us who are navigating life and just getting better.
Roll them.
Hey, babe.
Hey, Julia. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. What's on your mind today? What's happening in your life?
Well, the sun is shining. That's always a good thing when the sun is shining. So I'm always very thankful that the sun is shining. Got a nice cup of tea, and I'm excited about today.
Yeah. Oh, God, me too. I've been thinking about menopause and exercise and weight and I don't know.
Our daily conversations
it's a lot.
about menopause. It's like another job.
Yeah. And it's like, I will confess there was a time in my life when I worked in the health and fitness industry, and, the word on the street's always, that your metabolism slows as you get older. Mm-hmm. And there was science back when I was doing that was showing that is true, but it's only minimally, that it's not true enough for people to use that as a reason that they've gained so much weight. And now that I'm like in this stage of my life, and I'm like, no, I think it's totally true.
Oh, data. We love data. But it's with everything with life, it's just some differences, right? It's just, not just like that. It's like, like I'm into really having a sleep routine. My thing is like, I'm not a great sleeper. I was a great sleeper, and then I hit like 27 and then didn't become a great sleeper anymore. So, So now I'm all into everything I read is about sleep. I'm like, how do I maximize sleep? How do I maximize that many hours to, and everything like that. So it's a process. It's a journey, and we're never not on that journey of something.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I have one of my girlfriends read a book about sleep a couple of years ago that she said changed her life. And now she's into sleep masks and this whole sleep routine and blackout curtains. And I don't remember the name of the book, but I can send it to you. Oh,
that's me. I'm mask. I'm earplugs. I'm blackout curtains. I want the room on Arctic. A good 66 to 67 degree temperature is like what I wish for. That's why the only beauty of traveling is I can put it on, especially in the U.S., I can put it on a hotel and like be so cold going to sleep. So those little things are just life.
Sub-zero.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm married to a person who likes it on hail, and I like it on the Arctic, and it's always like a battle. So, but we live and we learn, and as more science comes out about a lot of things, especially like sleep and exercise and health and all that rolled into one, I am here for anybody that tells me how to sleep better.
Yeah, I have a cooling unit on my bed from Sleep Number that like it goes under the fitted sheet, and it just cool and heat, and I'm like, who needs the heat? So cooling 365 days a year, all the time. You can adjust it, high, medium, low, all the time. Yeah.
Well, I know there's a Japanese thing, kind of something like that, but it's for people who are cold. You put it on the side that they sleep, and somehow it goes through like the mattress, like if you don't have like a Sleep Number bed or anything like that. And so that's another for people who are warm. I don't need it, but I know they have those things.
Well, the cool thing about the Sleep Number one is you don't have to have a Sleep Number bed in order to use it. It works on any bed.
Oh, nice.
It's good. A friend of mine recommended a different brand, but I could feel the wires like when I laid down on it. I didn't like it. So, but she loves that one. So there's a host of them out there.
Tomato. That's really what we like.
Find what works for you. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You ready to get into it today?
I can't tell you how excited I am to have this guest on today. I can't tell you how excited I am. I learned something about the guest that's coming, our friend, who she is a Schwinn Certified, like master instructor. And way back when I used to teach cycling, my certification is through Schwinn. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I've ever encountered her and didn't even know that I had through certification processes and stuff. Probably not, but you never know. It's a small world.
I know. I mean, I went down a rabbit hole on Saturday. Was it Saturday? Someday last one of the weeks. And I just was so excited because once you start reading about it and listening and everything, it's like fangirl moment, like whoop whoop.
I know. I know.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I am feeling a bit fangirly today.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. I'm in the club.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, all right. You want to bring her on?
Okay. This is, come on. You have to announce this. This is like, come on.
Oh, it's me? Okay.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah,
okay. I didn't know if we were bringing her on and then I would read her bio or what. Okay. So I will do this.
You go.
All right.
All right.
So Christine Dierkala is a public speaker whose work is rooted in self-talk. Her workshops are workshops for editing our self-talk into the story we want our lives to tell. Her catalog of recorded workshops span topics from body image to addiction and loss to corporate cultural growth and team building. Christine is also a decorated competitive track cyclist, a master world champion, a 5-time national champion, and as a senior instructor at Peloton, her classes are grounded in the science of cycling and the power of words. Her unique style of mindful motivation inspires members of the Peloton community, reaching thousands of devoted riders every day. All right, welcome, Christine.
Hey, Christine.
Wow. Hi. Thank you for that really, really lovely introduction.
You're so welcome. I'm used to seeing you on a screen.
Here we are again.
You've been kicking my ass for 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
And inspiring me along the way. So I'm one of those faceless people that's, on the leaderboard.
I see your heart through that little red light.
And I see your heart all through the whole screen.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet both of you.
Christine, thank you. I came, you're just amazing. You're bad. I call you a badass. I'm going to say that probably the entire episode. I'm like the style, the glasses, the clothes, the energy. Like you can just feel it through a tiny phone. Like you can feel it through a screen. And everybody doesn't have, people have it. You have it. When we say, oh, she has it, you
in
have
spades.
It. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. What a treat. Well, like I said, you've been kicking my ass for 5 years, so I'm so happy to have you here. So let's get started. I know that your time is limited, so I would like for you. So I read your bio, part of your bio, but yet you're so much bigger than your bio, and so. You're so vulnerable and you tell such great stories on the bike. And so I've heard stories from you about wanting to be a ballerina and being told that your thighs were too big. And then stories about moving into modeling and doing some plus size modeling. And then them telling you that you're too thin and patting you. And it's like, oh my God. So, when I hear all of that, it's like, and see who you are today, life has been kind of preparing you for this amazing, badass, inspirational woman that you are. So beyond the bio that I read, tell us about you. Tell us about, your life and your journey.
Well, I wanted to be a ballerina. And I wanted that more than anything in the world. I remember sitting there the first time I saw the ballet and being so moved by what I thought at 5 years old was the pretty costumes and floating through the air. And as I got older, I recognized that what moved me was this fascination with storytelling through movement. And when I was told that I was too big to be in the front row, to be in a short tutu, to get a solo, unless it had a long skirt that would cover my thighs, I internalized that as I'm too big or too much of something, anything, to be successful. And that the power of words, the power of someone telling us something, and as a child, so vulnerable, we believe what we're told. We believe we're bad, we're too big, we're too loud, we're too small. And unconsciously, we listen to that narrative. And we live it until we become cognizant of the fact that we actually don't have to. We don't have to obey what we were told. We're so brought up in this world to ask for permission and to follow the rules, and there is a place and a time and a reason for all of that. But when it comes to how we live our lives, I believe, and it's been my experience, that recognizing the words that we're using in our self-talk on a daily basis and recognizing the ones that are ours and the ones that are not, and the ones that we want to use and the ones that we don't want to use, we can give ourselves permission to rewrite that narrative. And it is through that experience in dance. And then when I quit dance after an incredibly destructive journey of self-harm, I moved to acting. I thought, there's a role for everyone at every age and every size and every type. This has to be the way. And I auditioned for and got into Carnegie Mellon University. And I thought, well, this is a sign. I am definitely on the right path, because that's a pretty good school. And
for sure.
Fast forward a little bit, I came across an audition feedback form that said really nice things about my monologues. And there was a little asterisk on the bottom. It said, a little heavy in the thigh. And all of my hope and dreams and determination that this is the path I should be on suddenly crashed again. So how can I not be built for any of my dreams? How can I have this incredible desire to be a part of storytelling that can change lives, but my actual vessel, the body I live in, is wrong? But this can't be right. I discovered bicycling. Well, I had always been riding my bike. In fact, I used my bike to escape arguments in the house between my parents. I would go off and ride around the neighborhood and sometimes ride on highways I shouldn't have been on and get escorted home by the police.
I've heard some of those stories.
I took a year off from college and came to New York City. And that was because I couldn't deal with all of that and other things that happened. I was afraid to take the subway. You remember staring at the map and being confused. And I feel like I've always had some kind of processing issues with maps and mathematics, and my brain that part of my brain is very quiet. I remember staring at the map and not being able to figure out where I was or which way to go. And I ran out of the subway and back to my apartment. I got my bike. I'm going to figure this out by bicycle. And I started to go everywhere by bike. And then I got fired from a job and I needed another job. So I'm looking at the newspaper and I see Bike Messenger. Well, this makes sense. I'm riding my bike everywhere. I had no idea what I was getting into. But that decision, looking at that ad in that newspaper, changed my life. So becoming a bike messenger, I fell in love with a different kind of dancing and a different kind of movement. I discovered there was this athlete in me that I had no concept of. And the dispatchers had nicknames for all of us. There was like Zippo and Speedy. There was a guy who wore a football helmet and pads, and his name was Basuro. And they called me Legs. As you can imagine, every time I heard my name, I cringed. No one should cringe at hearing their name. Legs, can you get this package? And finally, I worked up the confidence and the courage to say, can you please just find me a different nickname? It's killing me. Not expecting them to understand anything about why that was such a trigger for me. And they said, but why? Your legs are so fast. And in fact, you should race.
Wow.
What? Race? Bikes? I did, and I won a lot. I won a lot of races. That first year, it was unbelievable. So what that brought me to was this realization that I could feel successful and make myself proud because of my body. Whereas in dance and in acting, and we'll get to the modeling, success is based on someone else's opinion of you, specifically your body and how it moves. And through cycling, I could be proud of myself, my accomplishments, and my body because of it, not in spite of it. And this whole idea, growing up in the world that I grew up in, your confidence was based on compliments. And here I discovered my confidence could come from my accomplishments instead. My accomplishments, my actions, my decisions, because nobody cares how cute you are when you cross the finish line first. They care about what you did and how your actions impacted the course of what happened. So that was a big deal. Then I had my daughter, and I gained a goodly amount of weight. And I was actually bigger than I'd ever been before. And I had a sort of reckoning with myself that if I'm going to raise this girl to be a strong woman, I have got to get right with myself. And I need to accept that I am a big girl. Always told I'm a big girl. I really am a big girl now. And I got to be okay with it. So how can I embrace myself and make money? I'll be a plus size model. So I went to QVC and I auditioned, and they said, we love your walk, we love your energy, but you're not big enough.
What?
How many mic drops can I have? Like, is there a limit? And they said, but if you wear these pads, we can use you in the fall, in the winter seasons, just not in the spring and summer, because the short sleeves will show your arms that will look thinner than the rest of your body with the pads. So I shoved this padding for the bust and the butt and the back and the belly and the thighs down an oversized pair of pantyhose. And I went out and I modeled. And whether it was a chenille muumuu with matching slippers, or it was, some suit jacket, everybody had to stop in the mirror before you went on, make sure you don't have lipstick on your teeth, make sure your buttons are straight. And you're modeling, you got to sell it. You're walking confidently. So you're engaging those muscles that make you look confident. And there's this thing in theater we studied in college called psychological gesture. I'm sure you've heard of this. You stand up, Superman pose, your arms up high. You hold that long enough, and eventually chemicals in your body are going to shift into sort of sensation. Oh, I do feel different. Do feel more proud. And if you walk around hunched over, you're going to support the energy and the feeling of the opposite of that. I feel like I was unconsciously practicing psychological gesture for a year. And one day I'm walking up to that mirror, and it was like this practice of psychological gesture, like an exercise, strengthened some synapse in my brain that connected to my gut that allowed me to hear my own voice finally, loud and clear, say, "You've been missing the point." And I stopped. I double take in the mirror. And like, I'm talking to myself very clearly. There's something in my head telling me to pay attention right now. And I had this conversation with myself in the mirror, and it went something like, "You've been missing the point. There is no too big and there is no too small. There is no too much of anything at all. You are perfect exactly as you are. Find what brings you joy. Find what makes you strong. Find what makes you proud. And that is a bicycle." All I could hear after that was, "Get back on the bike, get back on the bike, get back on the bike." I finished the day, and within a couple of months, I was certified to teach indoor cycling, and that was 2002. And I was certified by Schwinn, and I heard that you were certified by Schwinn, Michelle. Who knows if I certified you? Or I don't know. A few out there. And through teaching cycling and my daughter growing up, I got back into racing, and I was in and out of it for a few years. You know, raising a child takes a certain priority in your life, and guiding her through her negative and berating self-talk as a young teenager, I had to shift all of my focus there for quite some time. It was about 6-7 years I didn't race. And in 2009, 8, a little bit, but 9, I dove right back in. And I've been racing every season since. Yeah. And, you know, I used to write on my bios, "former competitive cyclist," and I hated it. I hated it. It's like, it didn't used to be a part of my identity. It is essential to my identity. And so with that, it has been such a transformative experience to be engaged in the thing that changed my life again, so full force. And then to be, I have to correct the bio that you read.
Please.
15 national champion titles.
Well, that's important.
I mean, at some point you just say multi. Enough already, okay? Yeah. But I hope that in sharing that story, that the takeaway is not that, "Oh, I won a whole bunch of races." The takeaway is that by recognizing our self-talk and practicing recognition, which is what Word Shop is all about, practicing recognizing what we're saying to ourselves, we can catch ourselves, and in real time, in a conversation with someone else, by ourselves in the mirror, we can stop. We can literally tell ourselves, "Okay, start over. Make that sentence again." You walk by a store window, you catch your reflection, and you're like, "Whoa." And a whole slew of berating self-talk happens. How did I get here? Why did I wear that? What have I done? Menopause, expletives. And go back 3 steps, start over, and say, it's not about saying something nice to yourself. It's about saying something productive. There's a lot out there about positive self-talk. I'm actually not about that. I'm about changing negative self-talk into productive self-talk. I think it's a really, really important distinction.
Can you expound on that, Christine, for the listeners? Can you expound on that? Because I think there's so many people, and I know this is different from some of the questions, but there's, I have a positive affirmation I say every day, and you're talking something completely different. Can you just further talk about that?
Absolutely. I can put my hand on my belly and be angry about it. Be angry that I'm doing everything the same. But my chemistry's changed. And so the way my body responds to the same things I've always done is different. And so
We're all experiencing that.
Yes.
right? So like, okay, so my pants are a little tighter, and I'm all about the affirmation that I am bigger than a smaller pair of pants, and I need to think bigger than a smaller pair of pants, which for women, we've been taught that our worth is tied to our waistline. It is very challenging to shut down that narrative. It's like an ingrained belief system that is so hardwired into our neural pathways. But these workshops are about creating new neural pathways. So the purpose of making that very, very, very clear distinction, positive is sugarcoating, can be sugarcoating, and is not going to, it feels empty to me. But productive, we have to have actionable things we can do and accept it's okay if I am angry about this. And at the same time, know that I am more important. My whole being is more important. To me, instead of saying, I am okay with it, I'm totally fine with it, and I can embrace this, am I allowed to say bullshit?
Yes, you
You're
are.
allowed to say whatever you want. Where's she going?
I love this.
Isn't she great?
You take my classes, you know how I talk.
Okay. Yes. Well, and I have my my last fuck candle lit. It's on fire. So
Yeah, we both got a last. Yes, we got the candle lit. So just
say what you want to say.
You know, it's like when I get a message from someone who says, I love your class, and how many calories do you think I burned?
Oh.
Did you hear anything I said? Oh. Did you hear anything I said? Oh my gosh. And that's not productive, right? How many calories did I burn is not productive. Focusing on what you want to say and speaking your truth. Focusing on having the difficult conversations that we avoid with spouses and partners and children and colleagues and bosses and whoever. Facing what we're afraid of and engaging in life on that level, that's productive. And when our life's focus is in that direction, and those are the things that we put on our finish lines instead of our waistlines, I believe our pants will fall into place. Otherwise, we're living beside ourselves. We're living beside ourselves. And we're not even in our lives. And it's up
is
to
that part
us.
of being in the journey? I'm sorry, Michelle. I had to go ask because you were going on there, and I had to ask
that's
about
good.
about like, is that part of
Be
like
in, yeah.
be
That is
in
be
the
in
journey?
the journey. Exactly. And how do we be in the journey? We rewrite the narrative ourselves. We unsubscribe from those self-annihilating narratives that we've been taught to listen to. Mm-hmm. So that is a perfect segue to what is be in the journey. Mm-hmm. Years ago, I was sitting on the beach during a period of time in my life where I knew I needed to change something. I needed to change my job and a lot of things about my life. And it can be, for many, incredibly intimidating to go from the devil you know to I've got Hamlet's speech in my head, whether to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or by take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. The actor's still here.
Yeah. Good.
So I had been saying I am, I can, I will, I do for years, since very, very early in my teaching career. And I had carved that on a block print that I then stamped on a t-shirt and started selling. Because I was in a financial situation where I needed to make more money. I have a child to raise, and what I'm making wasn't cutting it. So I maxed out a credit card and bought all these supplies and started selling t-shirts, and I sold them all. And then I did another version of it. And so I was into this whole block printing thing. I did a block print of Change Your Chatter, which was another thing I was saying and still say. And so I'm sitting on the beach thinking about how am I going to change? How am I going to keep going? And I thought I need to begin the journey, just reinforcing everything that I was about at that moment. Begin the journey. So I found this beautiful smooth piece of driftwood, and I had my little cutting tools with me because I carried them everywhere. And I started carving Begin the Journey on this piece of driftwood. And I get to the end and I'm enjoying looking at my work, and I noticed that the G was missing. Because I didn't sketch it out first. I just started going. And I said, oh, damn it. All this work. And I fucking forgot the G. And then I was like, it says, be in the journey. And it was like a wave came over me of, well, isn't that something? Isn't that something? I have begun the journey. I'm in it. This is the journey. And I was okay with my mistake because it was not a mistake somehow.
Yeah,
and it's
the
just,
message.
It's a, moments like this punctuate change. And that's what I aim to do in my workshops, is create moments that punctuate a turning point, a peripeteia and an anagnoresis, if you will, with my Greek theater terms, of recognition and reversal of fortune, to have a moment where you see the truth.
Yeah, that's very powerful. The first time you told that story, I was on the bike. I've only ever heard you tell it on the bike a couple of times, and I was crying. I don't know what zone I was in. I'm like zone 4 and crying. I don't know.
Right?
It's just, yeah.
Something so powerful about movement and storytelling.
Yeah. I've cried a few times on the bike with you.
This seems to happen. I don't never set out to make anybody cry.
No. It's just, you're very motivating. Your words, your stories. Yeah. Very motivating.
How did you find that motivation back with the storytelling after your accident? Because some people would have, like, there are times when I always say I like to wallow in my own self-pity. I'm one of those people. Some people, like, if they're having a bad day, they like to tell everybody. I kind of just don't. I kind of like try to process it. So I always say wallow in my own self-pity. But how did you find motivation after the accident to come back, not only to begin the journey, but be in that journey again, and to motivate other people who might be going through something very similar?
I don't think I didn't have to find it. There was never a question. And this is what I do. And cycling, riding, and writing is everything. It's how I process. It's how I process everything. If you took cycling away from me, oh God. No, it would find some way to be involved. But it is, so that's one part of that answer. But the other part of that answer is that if I've learned one thing in my life, it's that me being completely transparent and honest about where I am and what I'm going through is the only way for me to live. And I have found community in that. I have found myself empowered in that, because when I'm telling the truth about where I am and not pretending things are better than they are or other than they are, it allows other people to do the same and be like, oh, maybe it's okay that I'm not fake embracing my menopausal belly. Maybe it's okay that I'm mad. Maybe it's okay that I am frustrated, and that I can sit in it for a minute, and I will take a moment to process, and I do know I'll get over it.
Oh, I love that.
I have learned for myself, and I have felt it with other people, when they are completely honest about where they are, I feel seen. And I hope that I can do that for others. That is, we all want to be seen. We all want to feel seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to feel like we belong. And in a world that's pretending and giving us, this flashing God that we carry in our pockets is telling us how to live our lives, which is all untrue stuff. I mean, there are some incredibly inspiring people who are talking about authentic narratives, but you got to sift through the other stuff, because the feed just wants to feed you all of the other stuff. I have to put this thing down and walk away from it. It's another scale.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's another scale. You look at your likes and your following, and you measure your worth. And we have to find a way to use it as a tool, but not to determine our worth.
Exactly. As Esther Perel calls it, artificial intimacy.
Oh, yes. Yes.
What gave you the courage to talk about menopause? Because the reason why
The hot and cold crew.
Michelle and I mean, we talk like that's like a part of the conversation, but also the part of the conversation is there is a different version of menopause when you're a Black woman or a person of color in the medical field, and then you're a white woman. Like there is a distinct difference.
Yeah.
Of that, right? But the way you approach it is with such candor and humor is so relatable to anyone.
Thank you.
Anybody who is going through it, the way your candor is in relatability, it makes you sometimes you're not alone, but it also helps that like you can find the humor in it as well. Because if you can find the humor in it, then I can as well.
I appreciate that so much.
Unless I'm having a personal summer, like there's a fan here, there's a fan over here, I got one over here, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. I really appreciate you saying that. What gave me the courage? I did take a moment, and I thought about it. Like, is this the place for it? Because I've said some things on the platform. They're like, you know what? Maybe this is not the place for that. but I don't know. This hot and cold crew, like that phrase just came out one day in class, and it was met with a roar of appreciation. And I felt like not only did I feel seen when they made all of this noise about it, they felt seen. We saw each other, And that was all the permission I needed. And I said, if there's something wrong with me talking about this, I'll know soon enough. And then if there is, I might still just keep talking about it. I wasn't, like, if somebody was going to write to me and say, you know, this is not the place, I'm like, well, then listen, with all due respect, there's other people that you can exercise with, and that's fine. That's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm not going to get bent or hurt over it. There's something for everyone on that platform. Something for everyone. And so I felt like I have to do this because this is so 100% true to where I am in my journey right now. And if we're not talking about what's real, what the fuck are we talking about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
how has it changed how you're taking care of yourself, especially now that you're back into competition season and such?
Well, speaking of being completely honest, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. One, because I've been traveling more than I have ever traveled in the last couple of months. I mean, Colorado to Canada to France, back to Canada and Michigan in a couple weeks. I've probably missed something. That's thrown my routine off completely. So I've missed a week of training here, 4 days there, 3 days there, a week there. And I have enjoyed myself when in France.
Yes.
And wherever I was. And if you're going to talk about the wine in France, oh my God.
Julie and I travel to France a lot for wine, so
I bet you do.
We get it.
Coming next
I'm
time.
leaving soon. Yes.
So my routine is thrown off, and I am doing my best to give myself grace and at the same time, and here's where the real truth is, I want to race, I want to be prepared for the season, and I want to live all of these other parts of my life. So my priorities are movable. They move. Like today, this is the priority, and tomorrow, that's the priority, and the things shift. And I am okay with that, and sometimes I'm frustrated by it, but I'm in the journey. And sometimes when I am frustrated, and this is where wine is a thing. Like, I treasure and enjoy the full sensory experience of wine and food. I sometimes will eat my meal and then have my wine so that I can enjoy that, especially if it didn't pair quite well with the food.
Which happens.
Right?
It happens.
But to be completely honest, there have been times where I'm like, okay, enough. Because when I have wine, it's because I want to enjoy that sensory experience, not to numb anything out. But that is a use that I don't want to be involved in. And I've had moments where I'm like, okay, you need to check yourself, dial it back. Because, yeah, this is incredibly vulnerable to say, but like, you get really angry about these changes in our bodies.
Yes.
And then just want to say, fuck it.
Yeah.
I know I'm not alone there.
No, you're not.
I know I'm not alone there. That is true and real. And then I'm like, yeah, stop. No, you know, there's things that you want. You can't just wreck it.
Yeah.
And I hope that by sharing that, it's empowering others to have really frank conversations with ourselves about like, okay, when is it for pleasure and enjoyment and sensory experience, and when is it dipping over into another not productive use?
Yes.
I'm sure someone's going to hear this and say, well, it's not productive at all. Listen,
but-
we all
Well,
make sure
we're not going there.
things that we
No.
That's,
Yeah.
we have the agency to make those choices.
Yes.
So I just think it's important that we're honest with ourselves about that. And there's a lot of extremism out there that I just don't think anything needs to be quite that extreme. Not for me anyway. That doesn't work for me. I've been through the extremes of years 13 through 18 of my life. And it's really not a good place to be for me. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I heard you say something recently on the bike about mobility, and my weight training has, it's ebbed and flow in the way I look at it. It's constant in how I've done it, but it ebbs and flows in what it means to me. And today it means mobility. And you said like for future grandchildren and getting down, and I don't have grandchildren yet, but I mean, I've like getting up and down off the floor, and the priorities change to keep our bodies moving.
Absolutely. That is so important to me. And when I think I don't want to lift, it's late, I'm tired. You gotta do something. You gotta pick up something heavy, even if you just do a plank for a minute. And it is not about exercise obsession at all. That is about maintaining strength so that we can chase the children, the grandchildren, so that we can get on a boat,
Pets and
so that I can go scuba diving,
Exactly.
so that
yeah.
whatever. If I wanted to climb a tree, I want to climb a tree.
Yeah.
Might not be the wisest thing to do, but I want to be able to.
Yes.
I want to be able to.
Climb a mountain.
That climb another mountain. That's so tied to what I am, I can, I will, I do is about. If you were to get a recording of everything you said to yourself throughout the course of any given day, and get it as a transcript, and then read it. See the response?
No, thank you.
And
Keep it.
that transcript had every little thing that every little devil and monster in the back of your head said in a quiet whisper. It's all there. If you read that and you took a marker and highlighted everywhere you said, I am or I am not, I can, I could, couldn't, or can't, which are all the same thing. I will, I would, I wouldn't, I won't. I do, I didn't, I did, I don't. You would find that so many sentences start with one of those root prompts. And the root is that I am, I can, I will, or I do. They are a roadmap that we listen to unwittingly. I am identifies where we are. What we can or can't do about it, what we believe we can or can't do about it, which is different than what we actually can or can't do about it, what we will or won't, and what we believe we will or won't do about it, and then what we do or don't do about where we are in order to get where we want to go. It's like Uber. You may have heard me say, you call an Uber because you know where you want to go. You know what destination you want to land in. You know how you want your life to look. But we cannot get directions. We cannot get there unless we know where we are. We have to know our current location in order to generate directions to that place. So when we recognize all of the I ams and I cans and can'ts and wills and won'ts and do's and don'ts about where we are and where we want to go, we can change the words, which means we can change the map. We can make the map go from where we are to where we actually want to be and be in that journey. In my workshops, we have storytelling, and then we use those 4 prompts, and there are writing experiments. I like to call them experiments instead of exercises, because I want us to realize that we can play with words. Go through your journal, if you keep a journal, and like do this, circle those prompts. You'll find them in there. And then rewrite the sentences in a way that feels more productive. Write those sentences, and you don't have to believe it when you're writing it. You're doing an experiment. You're playing. And as adults, we forget that we're allowed to play. And in fact, we have to set time to play. We have to make ourselves play. And this is one of the most beautiful things about the retreats, the workshop retreats called Words Work, is that not only do we do these storytelling and writing experiment sessions, but we then take it out into the world and onto the back of a horse, or by throwing a hatchet at the words that have been plaguing us since we were 12.
Wow.
And shoot arrows at the words in the direction of where we want to go in the future.
Wow.
That
So
kind
it
of thing.
solidifies, yeah. The
It becomes
action
physicalized.
solidifies.
Yeah, and again, creates a moment, a punctuating moment, so that when you're back out there in the world, you remember. And that memory helps you course correct your self-talk in real time.
That's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
So how can people become a part of your workshops?
So on my website, which is myname.com, you can also find it through iamicaniwillido.com. It'll also lead you to the same place. I have information about upcoming retreats and individual workshops coming up. I have it's a big event in Muskegon, Michigan, May 17th and 18th. Muskegon, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, is a struggling district in Michigan. And so I'm going out there to do a keynote at the Museum of Art on the 17th, and then a 100-mile, I think I can get a flight in time. I got to figure this out. I hope to do the 100-mile ride the next day to raise money and awareness for the United Way of Lakeshore and the Muskegon Area District Library to help the community.
Oh, great.
And then there's a dinner that night, on the Friday night, for like top donors that I will be at. And that's the kind of thing I really care about. I care about that. Like, and my keynote will be about self-talk and self-care. And my takeaway from that for you is this: the most powerful thing anyone can say to us is what we say to ourselves. And so by recognizing what we're saying to ourselves, we can change it and we can empower ourselves.
Wow. Thank you, Christine. So our podcast is called Just Getting Better. It was a great
Just
name.
getting better. I was not just getting better at getting on this podcast. I had some technical difficulties.
It always happens.
That's okay.
I am
That's
so
what happens.
sorry.
No, you're great.
No. How are you just getting better?
How am I just getting better?
Yeah.
Keep doing, keep speaking the truth, keep taking care of myself with grace and grit. And being mindful of what I'm saying to myself and realizing through the practice of I am, I can, I will, I do, and it's almost automatic at this point. I've been doing this a really long time, and I catch myself, and okay, that wasn't very kind. Can you come up with something a little more nurturing? And the words we believe, the words we hear. So even if we don't believe them at that moment when we're changing them, give it a chance. Maybe changing our words isn't going to change, it's not going to cure cancer. It's going to change how we handle the challenges of cancer. It's going to change how we handle the challenges of menopause and aging and conquering that narrative and writing a new one about it. I think that the more that one practices it, the more you strengthen the muscles of being able to course correct your self-talk.
Love that.
Yeah, me too. So
Thank you so
inspirational.
much.
While kicking ass.
Yes.
And playing great music. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
All along the way. And I see you're wearing your t-shirt. And
yes.
Julie and I know you have one in French. We both want the French version. Yes.
All right. We'll take care of that.
Sure. Yeah.
we'll
And
take
hopefully
care of
we can meet you in real life out in the world. We're both interested in your workshops as well.
I
So.
would
Yes.
love that. We will talk offline about that.
Perfect.
Anybody wanting more information can go to my website, Christine D'Ercole, without the
D'Ercole.
apostrophe, no dots.com, or
Okay.
IamACanIWillIdo.com, and the same on Instagram.
Perfect.
Thank you
And
so
we'll put it
much.
in our show notes as well.
Keep getting better. I love this.
Oh
Thank
my God,
you.
I love, thank you.
Yes. And I wore my t-shirt for you. I said I wasn't going to stand up. Well
I
behaved women
love
seldom
this.
make history. Yes.
So good.
For us too. Yes. Well, thank you so much. And I will see you again very soon, although you will not see me, but I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Christine.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
Christine.
day.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Julia.
Oh my, woo! I'm telling you,
I
these
love her.
messages reminds me of church. That beauty of when you hear that sermon and that message that comes across from somebody with wisdom, and you learn something and you think you know something, and you just like, okay, I need to put a bookmark there. Oh, wait a minute, another bookmark there, and then boom, 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 another bookmark. That's the kind of conversation that, with Christine.
I feel like sometimes out in the world we've, I've experienced interviewing winemakers where I will say they're like a walking quote. Like everything they say is like what I want to write down because it's so great, and that is so who she is. She is so inspirational and also just an incredible cyclist and a great instructor. I mean, truly,
Well, you can
like,
see it.
so-
You can see it.
Yes.
And I mean, like, I know a lot of her diehards. I mean, I know you, but I have a lot of friends who have Peloton, and because I'm like, I don't know where I currently like reside right now, so that's the
Yes.
only reason why I don't have one. But yeah, she is amazing. So what are we drinking? What are we toasting?
Well, Christine loves Cabernets, and I know she likes Napa Valley. And so I have a Kathy Corson. Oh, how do I get it into the screen without? There you go.
Right there.
A Kathy Corson 2019 St. Helena Napa Valley Cabernet. And the reason I chose this wine is because Kathy Corson is also a badass winemaker woman,
Yes, she
pioneer in Napa Valley, and her wines are perennially incredible. So what about you? What do you have?
So I am drinking Auburn Road. This is a New Jersey Cab Franc Petit Verdot Merlot blend, and the winemaker is a woman named Julianne. And I came across these New Jersey wines, and that's why I call it. It's a baby Bordeaux. It's really like, it's beautiful. It's nice. It's light. It's really actually very delicious. I actually Corvined it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I Corvin because is having
Give
this
it
right
time
now.
to age. Give it time
Well,
to
not
age.
only I did it actually, because I'm like, I don't have anybody to drink the bottle with. So
Yeah.
that was
totally,
more of the thing right now.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Okay.
that's exciting. And that actually brings up a great point because wine is made in all 50 states. So
Yes, it is.
Back to the podcast. How are you just getting better this week, my dear?
I am just getting better. That I am actually, like I said earlier, the sun is out. I'm getting better by actually getting more vitamin D when I can. You know, the south, you know, you never know with the weather. But anytime I can be out for like 5 to 10 minutes, just first thing in the morning, I'm getting better by having sunlight in the morning.
Awesome. Well, I am getting better in the spirit of this podcast by riding my Peloton and using the app. I mean, I do the HIIT classes, the strength classes, the stretching classes, the yoga classes.
All the classes.
Have I left out anything? Yeah. My husband does the tread class. I mean, not the tread, the rowing classes. I'm trying to think. I don't run outside, so I don't do those. But yes, but I spend most of my time on the bike. And I'm so happy to do a lot of that with Christine. So that's how I'm getting better.
Okay.
So
cheers.
Cheers to you.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Just Getting Better with your host, Michelle Williams
and Julia Coney.
We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into some important topics impacting women today. To ensure you never miss an episode, click follow or subscribe.
Head over to isjustgettingbetter.com to sign up for our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in the show notes. And be sure to follow us on social media. If you love the show, will you please help us build our community by sharing it with friends? Until next time,
keep just getting better.